Alright guys, welcome back, and in this one we're going to be creating the renderer class. So let's go ahead and right click on our render package, new class, and we're going to call this renderer. And this renderer class is going to extend JPanel, so extends JPanel, and then we need to import this class. And the first thing we're going to do is override the method getPreferredSize. So at override public dimension getPreferredSize, and we need to import this dimension class. And then we're just going to return new dimension, and we need to typecast to int window.getWinWidth, and we need to cast the other parameter to an int window.getWinHeight, and then we need to add one to each of these. So now that we have this, we can go back to our entry class. We will make a new instance of the renderer. So renderer equals new renderer, and then we need to import this class. And then before we pack the window, we need to add it to the window. So we type window.add renderer. And now if we run the game, you can see that the window is actually the correct size. So let's go back to our window class very quickly and change this set location relative to and put it inside of the pack window. So now if we run the game, our window is in the middle of the screen. And now we can go back to our renderer class. So what we're going to do now is we're going to override the paint component method inside of JPanel. So we do that by typing @override protected void paint component, and we pass in a graphics G. And then we need to import this graphics. And then we just call the super paint component. So super.paint component, and we pass in this G. So at this point, we're going to convert our graphics class to a graphics2D class by typing graphics2D G2D equals graphics2D and putting in G here. And then we need to import this graphics2D class. So at this point, we could type g.drawRect 100, 100, 100, 100. And before we run it, we go back to our entry class. And here we type renderer.repaint. So I accidentally typed paint here instead of paint component, so we need to put component. So now if we run the program, you can see that it draws a rectangle. So now let's go back to our renderer class, and let's right click on render package, new interface, and we're going to call this interface renderable. And this renderable interface that we're going to create is going to extend comparable, and it's going to have three methods. So a public void draw function, which takes a graphics2D, and we need to import this. It's going to take a getLayer, which is going to be used to know what order we should render the objects in. And then we're going to have a public default function that's going to return an integer called compare2, and it's going to take in an object. So if you don't know how the compare2 function works, go watch a tutorial on the comparable interface, because that's what we're going to be implementing here. So we're just going to make a renderable object instead of equal to renderable O. So essentially we just typecast this object into a renderable object. If we can just say if this.getLayer is less than object.getLayer, then we're gonna return -1. If getLayer is greater than object.getLayer, we're gonna return 1, else return 0. And that's how we implement our compare2 method. So now we can call collections.sort and sort our interfaces by what they return on their getLayer functions, which is going to be what we decide the layers to be. So now let's go back to our renderer class, and let's make an array list of renderables. So private static array list of renderables. So renderable objects equals new array list type renderable, and don't forget the parentheses. And then we need to import array list. So now we can delete this g.drawRect because it's not necessary, and we can loop through each renderable object and call its draw function. So for renderable object and the renderable objects object.draw, and we pass it the g2d. And that's it for the paint component method. Now we can make two methods to add and remove from this renderable objects array list. So we're going to make a function called public static void add renderable objects. It's going to take a renderable object, and we're just going to say renderable objects add object, and then after we add an object, we need to sort the array list again. So we call collections.sort, and we pass in the renderable objects. And this is where our compare2 method that we implemented inside of this interface comes into play, because it'll sort the renderable objects by their getLayer functions. So we also need a public static void remove renderable object, also going to take a renderable object, and then we just type renderable objects remove object, and that's it. So this is it for the render class that we're going to create. So now all we have to do to make an object is we implement this renderable interface, and we implement the getLayer function and the draw function, and then we just tell it how to draw the image, and we return what layer we're on, and it will draw the object. So anyway, that's it for this one. Please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section below, and I'll see you next time.